Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, you cheeky so-and-so, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account who asks, am I the a-hole for not wanting to make my future brother-in-law a groomsman? My fiancée, 25 female, and I, 29 male, are from the same hometown, but we never went to school together. I graduated high school the year before she started at the same high school. I did, however, go to school with her older brother, 30 male. Her brother was a bully to me during our entire school careers. He made fun of me for being fat and nerdy. He would call me racist names. They're Italian and I'm Indian, and so he had a lot to say about that. And he was just overall terrible to me. I figured once we graduated I'd never see him again, and for the most part I was right. I went off to college out of state and then ended up going to graduate school as well. During my first year in grad school, I was a TA for a class, and I noticed one of the girls who I thought was very smart and very pretty, but obviously I couldn't go out with her because of our positions. Well, right after the semester ended, I ran into her at a coffee shop off campus and we chatted for a bit. She ended up asking me for my number, then she actually asked me out a few weeks later. We've been together ever since. At the start of our relationship, I had no idea who her brother was. They have a very common American last name, so it's not like that was going to do anything. Eventually, we figured out we're from the same town and we went to the same high school, at which point she asked me if I knew her brother, and I said I knew of him, but not well. I probably should have told her what her brother had done to me at that point, but I was too embarrassed, so I kept it hidden. Things really came to a head when she introduced me to her family a year later. Her brother actually called me by the same nickname he used to bully me with, and then made a few semi-insulting remarks towards me again. My fiancée, girlfriend at the time, noticed and called him out on it, and he just explained that was how we always talked before. I told her it wasn't a big deal since I didn't want to cause any drama. We got engaged 3 months ago. Recently, we were talking about wedding plans and stuff with her family, and he asked me when I was going to ask him to be a groomsman and if I was doing anything special. I deflected, and after the call I asked her about it. She explained that her brother expected to be made a groomsman since she was making my little sister and her sister-in-law bridesmaid, and he made her a bridesmaid in the wedding. I told her about why I didn't like her brother, and she said that she understood, but it was still right to make him a groomsman. I said no again, and she got pretty upset about it and said that her parents were going to be mad. I was also annoyed, so I texted her family group chat to say that he wasn't going to be one under any circumstance, and now they're all mad at me. Am I the a-hole? I couldn't imagine being told that you need to have someone that bullied you to be your groomsman on your special day. Sure, it's the brides as well, but being told to have your bully next to you on that day is outrageous. But Corty says this is definitely something you shouldn't have made a secret at the beginning of the relationship. There's a couple of options. Hash it out with a brother and see if he'll man up and apologize, or refuse to let him be a groomsman like you are now. Fair warning that when you marry someone, you're also marrying their family. Might want to think about this. Jazz Like Elephant says, I can't believe that your fiancé wants you to have your bully as a groomsman, especially considering that he still acts like an asshole towards you. It also sounds like he is a racist. You're the groom. You get to choose your groomsman, not the a-hole. Stick to your decision and tell your fiancée and her family that the decision is final. Agent Alpo says, not the a-hole. You should have been upfront with how much your brother bullied and hurt you in the past and how it still hurts when he says that stuff. In your attempt to avoid drama, you've ended up with worse drama because now it's harder to justify your dislike, and you previously said it's no big deal. Your fiancée is crappy for not supporting you in this. She's supporting a racist bully instead of her future husband. OP says, I don't blame my fiancée. Her parents are paying a lot for the wedding, even the part of the wedding they have no interest in. Indian weddings are pretty huge and they've already agreed to pay their share of it, even though their guests are only going to be a quarter of the total guest list. And they don't even mind paying for the extra events that we're going to have that aren't part of a normal American wedding. I think they just expected me to do the same as their daughter-in-law. Otter Squash says, not the a-hole. Can we take notice that your decision to not cause drama then is going to cause a lot more now? Opie says, yeah, I regret not telling her from the beginning, but I also don't want to push her away from me since I really liked her. Alien Overlord says, "Not the a-hole. You let him bully you again. As soon as you use that nickname, you should have stood up for yourself and told him to call you your name, or don't bother speaking to you at all. Time to fess up and tell your fiancé everything. Make it clear you're not asking him to stand up for you after he knocked you over so many times. If she can't accept that, then maybe this isn't the match you thought it was. You're supposed to be a team now. You're supposed to stand up for each other in this kind of situation." Opie says, "I've told my fiancé everything. I basically gave her a detailed account of every single thing he's ever done to me. She's well aware of all of it." Opie then edits the post and says, "I texted my brother-in-law and told him that I felt like I deserved an apology from him. He said he had nothing to be sorry for. I told him that I didn't even want him at the wedding and the only reason he was going to be there was because he had to be. Everyone is even more angry with me now. I know I shouldn't have said that, but he really upset me with that. I feel like I have to fix this." Edit 2. So I showed my fiancé this post and she had an actual panic attack reading through the comments. She kept repeatedly asking me if I was going to break up with her, then she kept saying sorry. I think the comments telling me to reconsider the relationship and consider whether or not I wanted to actually have a future with her really got to her. She's yelling at her parents on the phone right now. I have no idea whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Edit 3. So my fiancé's parents decided they wanted to talk with me after my fiancé yelled at them. Her mum apologized straight away and said she had no idea we had such a history. And although she believed his comments had always been wrong, she thought I was okay with it. Her dad also apologized but tried to talk about how family was more important. I should let this all be in the past. I said I couldn't. He started getting really angry at me. Now all three of them are yelling at each other again. Well, mostly my fiancé and her mum versus her dad. And I'm starting to feel really guilty about this whole thing." So then OP comes in with their update and says, "So I think things have mostly been resolved. I wanted to give an update on the situation. I decided to take some of the advice that I received and to finally stand up for myself. This was all a bit too intense for me, and her mother reached out to arrange a family meeting, which happened last Saturday. Her mum actually said she wanted to clear the air since she wanted her family to be able to spend Easter together, and that included me as well, even if I don't celebrate Easter. So on Saturday we went over to her parents' house. It was just us since I asked to speak with them without her brother around first. Basically we sat them down and told them there was no way her brother was going to be a groomsman, and right now he was pretty close to being disinvited completely. Her dad started to protest, but my fiancé backed me up and then I just went through everything he had ever said or done to me. Then straight up asked him, if our children, your grandchildren, told you someone treated them like this, how would you feel? That shut him up, and I think he realized that our kids were going to look like me and could go through a lot of the same things. That got him on our side. So when her brother arrived, all three of them basically expressed to him how disappointed they were in his behavior. Honestly, I was surprised by how completely her parents flipped, and even though it was disappointing how they all seemed to disregard the blatant racism he showed me for so long, it was really nice to have their support now. He got pretty mad that everyone was ganging up on him, but when my father-in-law said that if he didn't learn to treat me like family, he was going to be kicked out and not me, that really got him taking things seriously. My in-laws are fairly wealthy, so I think he was afraid of being disowned and disinherited, even though I doubt that would actually happen. He ended up apologizing, and although I don't know if it was sincere, it still felt pretty good to finally get that from him. I told him that he was still invited to the wedding, and although he wasn't going to be a groomsman, I did hope that we could move past things. He seemed to agree. Easter was pretty good the day after, and he didn't say anything even remotely snarky. Hopefully things stay that way. He's going to come over to my parents' place with her parents for Eid next weekend, so we'll see how he behaves then. Thank you to everyone who gave me such great advice." And a comment below this update from Togar Suck says, "This is definitely better than things could have gone, but you're right to not consider his apology to be sincere. It was made in a moment where he saw no other way out. Your best bet here is to maintain an arm's length with him. Yes, he is technically part of your family, but not someone that needs to be close. Make sure to keep your guard up as he will likely be looking for ways to get back to his old behavior, or worse, take some kind of revenge. Have a conversation with your fiancé about it, and you're concerned that he only made his apology because he was backed into a corner. This could go very bad if her and the parents figure all is now forgiven and in the past, and he starts subtly taking jabs at you." Opie says, "I've already talked to my fiancé about it. She actually still wants to disinvite him from the wedding entirely. I think the comments on the post really got to her, and now she wants to go full scorched earth on him, even though he apologized. She's even said multiple times that she doesn't even know what she would do if she ever found out he said something to our future kids. But she says it wouldn't be pretty. It's honestly kind of scary. I'm not going to trust him to be the best brother-in-law in the world, but I also think he knows he can't get away with things, so I've held her back from that. I have agreed that we should make sure to keep an eye out for how he acts around our future kids, whenever that happens. And one more comment with a response from OP, from Wolf of Mandalore, who says, I know this probably doesn't reflect well on me, but I was honestly hoping to see that OP had postponed the wedding. Looking at his original post, the fiancé insisted that brother-in-law be made a groomsman, even after OP described how brother-in-law had treated him in the past, and it's frankly concerning that OP had to show her the post to get her to start taking him seriously. As someone in the comments on the original pointed out, she only changed her tune when she thought that OP might cancel the wedding, i.e. she only started to act when she stood to lose something. Furthermore, in one of OP's comments below, he states that she's even said multiple times that she doesn't know what she would do if she ever found out that he said something to our future kids, but she says it wouldn't be pretty. I interpret this to mean that she's still more concerned about what brother-in-law might say/do to her and OP's future children, people who don't even exist yet, than she is about what brother-in-law has already said and done to OP, a living, breathing person. OP responds saying, I don't really blame her for still pushing it even after I told her. She had a certain vision for her dream wedding, and it makes sense that she'd be disappointed if she didn't get to see it made in reality. She's already been accepting of the fact that we're also going to have certain Indian traditions and ceremonies, and it's not like those were exactly on her Pinterest board. She's still been enthusiastic about it anyway because she knows it's important to me and my family. I think she also was just hoping that I'd be able to fit into her family the way she'd always dreamed of. There was really no way I was ever going to actually break up with her, at least not after she acknowledged everything. I'm really in love with this woman, and she would have had to do much worse for me to actually reconsider our relationship. But yes, she did only really take it seriously when she thought there was a chance she was going to lose me, which I don't know how to feel about. There was also no postponing the wedding. We're still in the early days of planning and we haven't set a firm date yet. We have an idea for one, but nothing solid. I don't blame her for the comments she made about our future kids. It's natural that a mother would be protective of her children, even future children. I was willing to take his treatment of me, but I would have also lost it if I ever heard him say anything to our future kids. Whenever anyone talks about Indian weddings, it always reminds me I go to watch. Some of you know that I'm a Wolves supporter. Football, if you're unaware about it at all. And when I'm walking to the ground, I always walk past a venue in Grand Station, it's called, where can pretty much guarantee every Saturday football there'll be an Indian wedding going on there at the same time. And that's absolutely amazing to walk past. They're usually getting like the photos done and all this kind of stuff. Amazing. But I've gone off on one as usual here. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Am I the A-hole subreddit from Consistent Cat 1126 and says, Am I the a-hole for ordering nachos, even though it deeply offended and set off my brother-in-law's autism and sensory issues? Using a throwaway since I posted on some relevant subs from time to time. My brother-in-law is 32, wife and I are 25, and while I don't doubt that some of his issues are real, autism, ADHD, set point obesity, it is my distinct impression that he exploits people's perception of things to be a controlling prick. In the family, saying such things is completely forbidden, however. We offered to take my mother-in-law and father-in-law out for Easter dinner, so no one has to cook. The timing offered was strategic since we knew brother-in-law had planning on watching TikTok livestream of some 19-year-old influencer who was blowing up right now. I guess either he got the time wrong or she cancelled early, so my heart sank when he was coming along because I knew there was going to be drama. We went to a famous place for bar food and I ordered nachos. My wife begged me to order something else, but she wasn't direct with me about the problem and I didn't get her hints. As soon as I took my first bite of nachos, my brother-in-law started shrieking like a child and throwing a little tantrum that the crunch was killing him and he's going to lose it because black olives don't belong on nachos because they are from Spain, not Mexico. My wife, mother-in-law and father-in-law told me I really screwed up and that was making him uncomfortable. In a moment of pure honesty, I told him that the list of not allouds around Brian is so long and tucking ridiculous that I can't keep up. My wife said she's tried to tell me. I said, no, you didn't tell me. You pussyfooted around it like we do every time this creep ruins a family function. Brother-in-law, father-in-law, and mother-in-law got up and left us with a bill, and needless to say, things between me and my wife have been tense ever since, and we really haven't spoken. I'm absolutely the asshole for my choice of words after he freaked out, and I get that, but I also think things needed to be said. My question is, am I the asshole for ordering the nachos? My wife says I should have known, since she's sure she's told me. I had to have noticed because his misophonia can't handle the crunch. Am I the a-hole here? And we're starting the comments with Snoo, who says not the a-hole. Nacho problem. The asshole judge says not the a-hole. No one can let their problems move to other people. If brother-in-law cannot cope, then he has to remove himself from those situations. What would he have done if the people at the table right next to him ordered the nachos? You are always the a-hole says, yeah, that's not how autism works. If you have sensory issues related to the sound of the crunch, then there's this magical thing known as headphones. Last good bad idea says, not the a-hole. I'm an autistic adult with misophonia, though brother-in-law seems to have far greater support needs than I do. Regardless, restaurants are one of my triggers, and I know this, so I don't go to them. And while I'm having a rough day or have been emotionally dysregulated from anything else recent, if he is being cared for by her parents, and he doesn't know how to gauge his symptoms on his own, then they need to help out by not putting him in a sensory nightmare. He most likely cannot help his reactions, but your wife should have been 100% transparent and explicit in communicating her brother's needs to you. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story from a throwaway account who says, am I the a-hole for hiding vegetables in my boyfriend's food? Throwaway because he spends a lot of time on Reddit. This is the most ridiculous argument I've had with a grown man. I, 28 female, have been with my boyfriend, 36 female, for a year, and we moved in together about 4 months ago. One of the first things I noticed about my boyfriend was that he never really ate vegetables. He would sometimes eat them if we were out at a restaurant and they came as part of his meal, but he never ate them when I cooked for him. Originally I thought that maybe my cooking was the problem, so I asked him if he enjoyed my food, and he told me he loves my cooking. On nights I didn't cook for him, he ate exclusively frozen foods and never ate the vegetables in those either. Naturally, he has some health issues, vitamin deficiencies, etc. He'd phrase it to me as if he was somehow just genetically unlucky. I believed it for a while because I don't know how that stuff works, but eventually it became clear to me it's because he voluntarily eats a vegetable like once a month. 6 months ago, I started hiding vegetables in my cooking. If I was making pasta, I'd put the vegetables in I'd usually put in for myself. Then I'd take half out and blend it so he wouldn't notice the vegetable chunks, and then tell them I just scooped the veg out of his portion. This happens more often now we live together because I do all of the cooking. He's been telling me a lot lately. He's been feeling a lot better the past few months. He's even had his doctor reduce the dosage of some of his medications. He hasn't had to take his multivitamin in weeks. I kept my mouth shut because I'm just glad to see he's feeling better, and it really does me no harm to hide the veg in his food. Yesterday, I was making one of our regular pasta meals. It was one that's very easy to hide at least 4 veggies in, and I was about to blend my boyfriend's portion when the blender died mid-blend. I had to serve it in all its veg chunk glory. My boyfriend refused to eat the vegetables, but when he tasted the sauce, he said it's weird how it tastes the exact same, even though this one has veg in it. So I confessed. He screamed at me and called me a controlling bitch and said it's none of my business if he thinks vegetables don't do anything. I pointed out he said he felt better. He said his health was none of my business and that I'm a controlling, judgy arsehole, and stormed out of the apartment to stay with his sister. His sister texts me to say he's fine, but she agrees with him. My friends agree it's ridiculous that he doesn't eat veg, but agree I'm being an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? And we're going to start off with Poker Dirt 56, who says you're the a-hole. Listen, lies and deception are no way to build a healthy relationship. You know that, he knows that, society in general knows that. So your part in this makes you the a-hole. However, consider what drove you to this behavior, because it doesn't sound like this would be a healthy relationship even without the lying and food drama. This is what I'm getting at. Your much older partner is refusing to take care of himself in a way that keeps him healthy. Seriously, not even supplements, and in response you turned into his mother. How does this affect other aspects of your relationship? Is this behavior from him attractive for you? Can you see yourself building a family together with this guy? Mini Boss says unpopular opinion, but you're the a-hole. Secretly messing with people's food is always an a-hole move. Available Ask says not the a-hole. This is a grown man 8 years older than you. If he has a problem with your cooking, let him make his own food. He's already coddled by his sister and doesn't/shouldn't need to be by you. Trash Maud says no. You are not the a-hole in any way, and I don't care what anyone says. I admittedly was the same way till my girlfriend kinda got me to start. I felt much better afterwards and just, yeah, minus squash. I will straight up fight someone over having to eat that nasty hell food. Lol. If he's gonna be a crybaby about it, he can cook his food and you can cook yours. That way he can control what he's putting in his body, as another comment said. And Ambrose says, I'm kind of on the fence because on one hand he's supposed to be a grown-ass adult, but he just threw a giant temper tantrum and stormed out because he found out there were vegetables in his pasta. On the other hand, I can understand how it would be a violation of his autonomy. He may be acting like a child, but he isn't one, so it's his own fault that he can't grow up and eat a vegetable for his own health. I can tell you are coming from a place of caring for him and his health, but you can't control him. You can't care more about him than he does. That's not healthy either. So, everyone sucks here. Now, we had all sorts of varied opinions on this one story, but what about you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below if you have a moment of your time to share them. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. Do not forget that. And don't forget to keep sharing your projects with me over on Twitter @MarkNarrations. Your crochet, your crafting projects, even if you've got like an achievement of some sort, managed to clean a room in your house or something like that, I absolutely love to hear your achievements. So thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.